Authorities are looking into ways to safeguard the current legal position on marriage as they discuss what's to be done with Section 3778. Minister for Home Affairs and Law, Shanmugam, gave an update in response to media queries about discussions on the law which criminalises sex between men. Lauren Ong with more.
Discussions and deliberations after a gathering last week said it would be unwise to repeal Section 377A, reigniting a discourse on the law criminalising gay sex. In response to media queries, Minister for Home Affairs and Law Shanmugam says the government is considering how best to achieve balance.
The two questions we are dealing with are therefore, one, what is to be done with Section 377A? And two, at the same time, we are also considering how can we safeguard the current legal position on marriage from being challenged in the courts so that it does not get challenged like the way Section 377A was with a series of cases. These matters really ought to be discussed in Parliament and decided in Parliament and not decided in the courts.
Mr. Shanmugam made the comments on the sidelines of a community event. However, he did not elaborate on how the authorities might safeguard the current legal position on marriage. All this comes against the backdrop of a ruling by the Court of Appeal in February that decided Section 377A cannot be used to prosecute anyone. And in March, Home Affairs and Law Minister said the government was seeking various groups to better understand their viewpoints. Mr. Shanmugam says the government has had discussions with different people about the law. These include LGBTQ groups, grassroots and religious leaders. Generally, many agree that gay sex should not be criminalized, but most also want the legal definition of marriage to stay. Still, one LGBTQ group appears optimistic.
It's great that they are so readily there to listen to the huge spectrum of issues that the community goes through, especially like safety in schools and at homes. And also like they have been very forthcoming in their views about what the government and what government can do.
Reverend Yang Tak Yong, a senior pastor of Cornerstone Community Church, says anything less than the current definition is actually a weakening of their position. He also says it remains to be seen if authorities adequately cover their policy bases, which would be made vulnerable when the law is removed or modified. Mr. Shanmugam says the issue has to be dealt with an open mind and open heart. He says passions can run high, but we must stay united and avoid extreme positions.
That if one side pushes, then there will be a pushback. And we have seen this happen in many countries. If it happens here in Singapore, we are a very small place. The ruptures will tear our social fabric apart, cause a lot of harm. This is why the government has been advocating moderation.
He urges all to work on their differences in a calm way for the sake of Singapore.